is Sri Radha Debroy, your sociology educator. So we are back after a long time, and this time again with a much requested video, which is the relationship of sociology with other social sciences. And I already have two more videos on this series, that is the relationship of sociology with other social sciences, namely anthropology and history. So I'll provide the link to those two videos in the description box. You may check it out if you haven't yet already. Now, our topic for today is the relationship of sociology with psychology. And before starting with the video, these are my basic academic details. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you subscribe and press the bell icon so that you are notified every time I upload a new video. So let us first begin with the definition of psychology, or what does psychology basically mean. So the word psychology is derived from the Greek word psyche, meaning mind, soul or spirit, and logos or logia, meaning science or the study of. So psychology basically means the study of the mind, soul or spirit. So the word psychology is derived from the Greek word psyche, meaning mind, soul or spirit, and logos, meaning study or the science of. So basically psychology means the study or science of the mind. So psychology can broadly be defined as the science of mind or mental processes. It deals with the mental processes such as perception, cognition, learning, etc. It is also concerned with feelings, emotions, motives, drives, and how they are organized in our personality. So it deals with the processes of perception, cognition, learning, etc. So our mental processes like perception, or how we perceive things, our cognition or cognitive capacities, or how we acquire knowledge through our experiences, senses, etc. and the learning processes of the mind. It is also concerned with the feelings, emotions, motives, drives, etc. So it also deals with the emotional aspects of our personality and how all of these factors are organized in our personality, or how all of these factors play an important role to bring out the personality that we have. So therefore we see that psychology is very different from sociology. While psychology deals with the mental and emotional processes of the individual mind, sociology on the other hand, as we all know, is the systematic study of the society. So sociology is the scientific and systematic study of the society in which we live in. So after having understood the basic definitions of sociology and psychology as two different subjects, we now move on to see the interrelationship between the two. That is, the similarities and differences which these two subjects have with each other. So firstly, we see that both are concerned with the behavior of humans, but their perspectives and focus of interest is different. So the difference between the two subjects lies in their perspective and the focus of interest. So the way in which the two subjects look at the human behavior is different, though both of them look at the same human behavior. So the perspective is different. So while the psychologist focuses on the individual human behavior, sociologist focuses on the group human behavior. So we know that psychology deals with the individual mind or the individual human behavior. Sociologist on the other hand studies the behavior of the group or the society. Again, another difference between the two disciplines is in the focus of interest. So while the sociologist's focus of interest is the society, the individual's focus of interest is the individual. So psychologist focuses on the individual and sociologist focuses on the society and culture, which the individual is a part. So sociologist studies the society and individual is a part of this society. So we see that there is a basic difference in the perspective and focus of interest between the two disciplines of sociology and psychology. So now we move on to the major differences between the two subjects. So the first difference is that sociology studies groups while psychology studies individual. So as we have already discussed, sociology is interested in the groups or the societal behavior, while psychology studies the individual behavior. Second, sociology studies social processes. That is, it is interested in the social forms, structures, institutions within which social behavior of people occur. Psychology is concerned, on the other hand, with the mental processes. So this is a basic difference, that while sociology studies the social processes, psychology studies the mental processes, which are cognition, perceptions, which influence the individual behavior. So while sociology studies the social processes, namely social forms, structures, institutions, within the bounds of which the social behavior of people occur, that is the conditions and structures within which humans as social beings behave, while psychology on the other hand is concerned with the mental processes, namely cognition, perception, etc., which influence the individual behaviors. Thirdly, sociology studies the larger structures within which the individual and group behavior occurs. So we must remember that an individual is never outside the society. So an individual is often a part of a group, and he or she has to act in accordance with the norms or the influences of the group. So sociology basically studies these larger structures or the processes within which an individual has to act as members of the society. Psychology, on the other hand, studies the individual, and social psychology studies the individual in his social groups. So, while sociology studies the larger structures and processes within which an individual behaves, psychology, on the other hand, studies this individual and his mental processes. And we also have a branch called social psychology, which deals with the individual and how he behaves in his social group situations. So we see that social psychology basically brings the two disciplines, namely sociology and psychology, closer. So what is social psychology? Social psychology is basically the science of the behavior of the individual in society. So it deals with the mental processes of man, considering him a social being. So, what does social psychology do? Social psychology basically studies the individual behavior in a societal context. So, it deals with the mental processes of man, namely perception, cognition, and the emotional quotient of man, and it sees that how these mental processes influence the man to behave in a social context or in a group situation. So we realize that though sociology and psychology are two distinct and separate disciplines, the two are often dependent on each other, and one cannot proceed without the help of the other. So we find out now what are the situations in which the two are dependent on each other. First, to understand the individual as an element of society, the sociologist must take into account the individual perceptions, since this will influence his or her reaction to social forces. So, a sociologist basically studies the man as a part of a group. Now, to understand this, it is often required to take into account the individual perceptions or how a single person thinks or behaves, since this is important to understand how he or she will behave and react to a social condition. Second, sociology provides the information regarding structure, organization, culture of societies of individuals to social psychology for better understanding of human nature. So we have already discussed what is social psychology. So social psychology basically deals with the behavior of human beings in group situations, the individual behavior of man in group situations. Now to understand this individual behavior of man in group situations, the social psychology also needs to have information regarding the structure, organization, and culture of societies. So, basically, the social conditions which influence the man to behave in a group context. So, sociology provides this information regarding the social processes, namely structure, organization, culture, etc., to social psychology, so that social psychology is able to understand the human nature and how all of these processes, namely the structure, organization, etc., have an influence on the individual behavior. Thirdly, we see that solutions to social problems such as juvenile delinquency, crime, gambling, etc., require the expert knowledge of social psychology. So, though these problems are social problems, we cannot neglect the importance of the psychology or social psychology in this regard. So, though these crimes are social problems, yet these crimes have individual psychological factors attached to it. Often, there are various psychological reasons provoking these crimes, and therefore sociologists often needs to rely on the information provided by social psychology to analyze the problems of juvenile delinquency, crime, gambling, rape, etc. So we see that there are topics which are common to both sociology and psychology, for example, socialization, crime, juvenile delinquency, public opinion, etc. So, say for example, socialization is basically preparing the child to behave according to the norms of society so that he or she is accepted as a proper member of society. Now, in this sense, socialization is the transmission of the values of society into the individual. So, it is very much a topic which is related or a part of sociology. In a similar way, socialization is also a process of the development of skills and personality in the individual. So, in this sense, it is also a topic of psychology. Similarly, social problems like crime, juvenile delinquency, etc., are social problems, yet they have an individual factor attached to it. So, there are often individual psychological reasons which provoke an individual to become a criminal or a juvenile delinquent. In that sense, crime, juvenile delinquency, etc., are also topics which are common to both sociology and psychology. So, as McIver and Page say, both the sciences are concerned with the different aspects of an indivisible reality. So, both of them look at the same reality, but the perspective of looking or the focus of interest of the two disciplines are different. I hope this video was helpful for you all. If yes, then please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Till then, keep shining.